Evening, and thanks for taking my question. Uh, One of the really attractive elements of Bitcoin is the fact that it is trustless. That you can look at the Bitcoin blockchain and know what transactions had occurred on it. Along those lines, we have seen at least one company move toward proof of reserves as part of their Bitcoin treasury strategy. Insofar as you're looking to get incremental trust from investors as you build out your capital strategy, would proof of reserves be an element that would make sense for the company at this point?
Fong, do you want to take that?
No, I think you can take this one, Mike.
Okay. We're studying it, and we're working on responsible ways that we could provide that transparency. And we're considering it in the context of our audits and our own security issues and controls and the scale of our operation. We just had a famous example of a concern, which is 80,000 Bitcoin got transferred to Galaxy, who then sold them. And everybody in the world knew that the Bitcoin was moving, and they knew where it went to, and they knew who was dealing with it, and they knew when it happened. And it created a massive dislocation in the market, like $3,000, $4,000 dislocation, and people lost their minds. We would like to not be in a situation where a routine custody reshuffling creates the same degree of chaos and dislocation, because when you're a large multinational, you do a lot of stuff for a lot of different reasons, and if everybody on Twitter is or on X is obsessing over every time something moves from wallet A to wallet B for any particular reason, it could be let's say counterproductive. So as we would always point out, you can't really hold the security unless you trust the auditor, trust the management team, trust the board of directors, and trust the processes. And then the auditor's job is to audit the assets and the liabilities, and then make sure that there are no side agreements, no related party transactions, and nothing else would undermine the integrity of that audit. So that's a much higher degree of transparency in the capital markets than simply publishing a single wallet address. So I think that at some point, if we can find a way to do it in a way that doesn't introduce other operational security issues, we're open to it. It's a complicated thing that we need to consider very carefully.
I would just
Sorry, I was going to add, I do get the irony of people wanting to access Bitcoin for its decentralized, transparent nature, and then buying Bitcoin-backed securities through a U.S. public company. But what we do and what we provide on top of Bitcoin, and we laid out, is with MSTR, we provide superior performance through intelligent leverage. With our preferreds, we provide the ability to get pretty good dividend yields with a lot of downside protection. And part of the price of that is you're working with a U.S. public company that has Bitcoin behind it. And we have 15 people working on this. Could you imagine if we had to take two away to work on proof of reserves? You wouldn't get Stretch, you wouldn't get Stride, you wouldn't get Strike, you wouldn't get all this other product innovation. That's where we're focusing our energy right now. But it's not lost on us that we could find ways to do something to improve the transparency. That's why we do these earnings calls. That's why I do all these conferences, right? We do want to be a transparent company. That's very important to Bitcoin. And maybe we can get to a way we can provide proof of reserves without exerting a ton of energy and without creating security risk for the company and for ourselves.
I was just going to add, we've been a public company for 27 years. Our internal controls process is robust. We have two big audit firms that we interact with. So, if you want to think about who other people use. We have two of the big four that look at, our information and our data and our tie-outs on a quarterly and annual basis. So while they might not be out there publicly, I think you take into account what Michael and Phong said. We are, one of the longest standing public companies out there, and we rely on our mature internal controls process internally, as well as our external big four audit firms.
Very good points.